Now for the first time from behind bars and on the heels of her denied appeal, the Hiccup Girl speaks out.
They were just teenagers, but their crimes were beyond comprehension. These 5 young women committed acts so heinous, so calculated, that judges had no choice but to sentence them to life behind bars. From the Hiccup Girl who became a killer, to a cheerleader who murdered her own friends in cold blood. These are stories that will shake you to your core. This is part 1 of the most evil teenage girl killers in America. And trust me, you won't believe how dark these stories get. What drives a teenage girl to commit murder? Today, we're diving deep into 5 cases that shocked the nation and left communities asking how someone so young could be capable of such evil. These aren't your typical crime stories. These are tales of manipulation, jealousy, and pure malice that will make you question everything you thought you knew about teenage behavior. So buckle up, because we're about to explore the darkest corners of the human psyche. And don't forget, this is just part 1. The cases in part 2 are even more disturbing. Jennifer Mee, the Hiccup Girl turned killer. Our first case takes us to St. Petersburg, Florida, and a story that proves fame can be fleeting. But infamy lasts forever. In 2007, 15-year-old Jennifer Mee became a media sensation when she couldn't stop hiccuping.
I tell you, I got cased up with the wrong crowd of people, really. Unfortunately, when I started experimenting with drugs, I just felt like I was invincible to everything.
She hiccuped around 50 times a minute, every day for over a month, appearing on shows like NBC's Today Show. America fell in love with the Hiccup Girl, but what happened next would transform this media darling into one of America's most notorious teenage killers. The bizarre case caused the teenager significant distress. She suffered deep chest pain due to the constant pressure and could only eat soft foods like applesauce and Jell-O. Eventually, the hiccups stopped with medical treatment. Fast forward to October 23, 2010. Jennifer, now 19, was living a very different life. Authorities said Mee lured Shannon Griffin, a 22-year-old Walmart worker, to a spot in St. Petersburg ostensibly to sell him marijuana, but really as part of a plan with accomplices to rob him. But this wasn't just a robbery gone wrong. This was cold-blooded murder. Once at the abandoned home, 2 of Mee's friends robbed Griffin at gunpoint, but he struggled and was shot 4 times. While Jennifer didn't pull the trigger, prosecutors argued she was the mastermind who lured the victim to his death. The transformation was complete. America's sweetheart had become a killer. Jennifer Mee, 22, wept after the guilty verdict was read in a Florida court, sometimes holding her head in her hands. In 2013, Mee was found guilty of felony murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. From Hiccup Girl to convicted murderer, Jennifer Mee's fall from grace serves as a chilling reminder that fame means nothing when you're serving life behind bars. Alyssa Bustamante, the diary of a killer. Our next case takes us to Missouri, where a 15-year-old girl's diary would reveal one of the most disturbing minds in criminal history. October 21, 2009. St. Martin's, Missouri. Alyssa Bustamante had just finished digging 2 graves in the woods behind her home. She was preparing for something unthinkable. That evening, 9-year-old Elizabeth Olton was playing outside when her older neighbor approached with a friendly invitation. "Want to play in the woods?" Alyssa asked with a smile. Elizabeth, trusting and innocent, followed eagerly. She had no way of knowing she was walking toward her death. Once isolated in the woods, Alyssa revealed her true nature. She strangled the little girl and stabbed her repeatedly with a kitchen knife she had brought specifically for this purpose. But here's what makes this case truly chilling. Alyssa's own diary entry, written that same night. "I just killed someone. It was amazing." She described the murder like a successful experiment, treating the taking of a human life as if it were a hobby. Her YouTube profile actually listed cutting and killing people as interests. After burying Elizabeth's body, Alyssa went home and attended church with her family the next morning, singing hymns as if nothing had happened. When Elizabeth was reported missing, Alyssa joined the search parties, helping look for the very child she had murdered and buried. Her performance was so convincing that no one suspected her involvement. The truth finally came out when investigators discovered the graves Alyssa had dug days earlier. The methodical planning revealed this wasn't a crime of passion. This was calculated murder by a teenage psychopath. Alyssa Bustamante was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole. She was denied parole in July 2024, with her next hearing scheduled for 2029. A child killer who treated murder like a game. Alyssa Bustamante proved that evil has no age limit. Christine Paulilla, the Clear Lake Massacre. Our third case brings us to Clear Lake, Texas, where popularity and jealousy would collide in the most devastating way possible. Christine Paulilla suffered from alopecia, a condition where most, if not all, hair falls out. She was lonely and often wore garish makeup and Halloween wigs. But in 2002, two beautiful popular girls decided to change Christine's life. Rachel Colorutis and Tiffany Rowell took Christine under their wing, helping her transform from outcast to homecoming queen. Paulilla, who received the student body title Miss Irresistible, murdered her friends and two others on July 18, 2003. But why would someone kill the very people who helped them? On the afternoon of July 18, 2003, Christine's life changed forever. 4 youths were found shot multiple times at point-blank range in a home in the placid Clear Lake neighborhood. The victims were Rachel, Tiffany, and 2 others, Marcus Priscilla and Adelbert Sanchez. With the help of her then-boyfriend, Chris Snyder, Paulilla shot and beat the 4 teens. But this wasn't a robbery or a crime of passion. This was something far more sinister. The motive? Jealousy. Christine couldn't handle that her popular friends were moving on without her. Rather than lose their friendship, she chose to end their lives. Paulilla used the same gun that was fired inside the house to beat her Clear Lake High School classmate, Rachel Colorutis, to death. The level of violence was staggering. This was personal. For years, the case went cold. Police had no viable leads. In 2006, Houston authorities received a tip that would finally crack the case wide open. Christine had confessed to her new husband about what she had done, and he went to police. Christine Marie Paulilla was convicted of shooting 4 of her friends to death and received an automatic life sentence because she was 17 at the time of the killings. The girl who went from ugly duckling to Miss Irresistible had committed one of Texas's most brutal mass murders, all because she couldn't let her friends go. Carly Gregg, the mother killer. Our 4th case takes us to Brandon, Mississippi, where a seemingly normal 14-year-old would commit the ultimate betrayal. March 19, 2024. Carly Gregg appeared to be a typical teenager, until her mother made a discovery that would cost her life. When Ashley Smiley found vape pens hidden in Carly's bedroom during a routine search, she had no idea she had just signed her own death warrant. What happened next defied belief. Carly, just 14 years old, calmly walked to another room, retrieved a .357 Magnum, and returned to execute her own mother with 3 shots. But Carly wasn't done. Security cameras captured her methodical movements as she planned her next move. She texted her friend with bone-chilling casualness, "Are you squeamish around dead bodies?" After showing her friend the corpse, Carly set an elaborate trap for her stepfather. She sent text messages pretending to be her mother, luring him home. When Heath arrived expecting to find his wife, Carly was waiting in ambush. She shot him while telling her friend, "I put 3 in my mom, and I got 3 more waiting for my stepdad." Her casual attitude toward double murder demonstrated a level of detachment that stunned even seasoned investigators. On September 20th, 2024, after less than 2 days of trial, Carly was convicted and sentenced to life without parole. The jury deliberated for less than an hour, rejecting her insanity defense. The evidence was clear. This wasn't mental illness. This was calculated, cold-blooded murder by a teenager who felt no remorse for killing her own mother. At just 14, Carly Gregg had committed matricide with the emotional detachment of a seasoned killer. Christina Fetters, Iowa's youngest female lifer. Our final case brings us to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where jealousy and manipulation would create the state's youngest female lifer. Christina Joy Fetters was just 14 when she orchestrated a murder plot that would shock the Midwest. Unlike our other cases, Christina didn't pull the trigger herself, but her manipulation was so calculated, so deliberate, that courts held her equally responsible. The victim was her friend's mother, who Christina saw as an obstacle to her twisted relationship with the woman's son. Rather than accept rejection, Christina convinced her teenage boyfriend to commit murder. What made Christina's case particularly disturbing was her complete lack of remorse. During interviews, she showed no emotion when discussing the victim's death, treating it as if it were merely an inconvenience that needed to be handled. The manipulation was so thorough, the planning so detailed, that despite her age, Christina was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She became Iowa's youngest female to receive such a sentence. At 14, Christina Joy Fetters proved that evil can wear the face of innocence. 5 teenage girls, 5 life sentences, 5 reminders that age is no barrier to evil. From Jennifer Mee's transformation from media darling to murderer, to Carly Gregg's execution of her own mother, these cases show us the darkest depths of human nature. But this is only part 1. The cases in part 2 are even more shocking, even more disturbing. We'll explore the teenage killers whose crimes were so heinous, they redefined our understanding of juvenile evil. If these stories have left you as shaken as they've left us, make sure to subscribe to What the Verdict and hit that notification bell. Part 2 drops next week, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. And remember, evil has no age limit.